Daniel Vega has been driving trucks for 3 years.
There's a bumpy road.
To keep his license up to date, he needed a state of Florida certified class in operations and safety. Vega is one of dozens of students signed up for classes here at CFI Truck Driving School outside of Tampa.
If I'm here today, it's because I want to make sure that everybody's safe out there. And because of the way that, the business in the trucking right now is up high. And, hopefully we praying that it stays up there, for like that we could be able to bring a good income to the family.
Money, the promise of a good paying job as driving schools all across Florida, just like CFI, experiencing an enrollment boom.
Look at the rear wheel on your trailer.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, good.
That's my main focus in that tire.
That's right.
Make sure I don't step on nobody's toes.
Safely and slowly.
When we visited CFI, they'd only been open about 2 weeks and nearly every available training slot was spoken for. Owner Gary Boardwine didn't expect business to hit high gear so quickly.
Did you imagine the kind of response, the kind of business you would have this quickly?
I was hoping just to make the rent payment. Okay, that was my goal. I said, if we can just make the rent payment and pay some of the expenses.
But he's done so well, Boardwine is looking to buy a second training truck.
What do you think is attributed to the boom in interest in driving a truck?
Well, there's lots of jobs. It's very, very difficult to fill the demand. So much freight that needs to be moved.
And like Daniel Vega said, the promise of a good income. According to the American Trucking Association, the U.S. is experiencing a shortage of 80,000 drivers. Companies are offering up to a 15% signing bonus on top of base pay.
How much money can people make once they get on the road?
You can make, to start, probably somewhere around 75,000. Okay. Low end, 52.
Experts say the shortage of drivers has been a long time coming. The pandemic pushed it over the tipping point. Tens of thousands of older drivers left a business that was already shorthanded.
That's right there where the truck is going.
Florencio Campos, they call him Papo, trains drivers at CFI.
Is it rewarding to you to know that what you're doing is actually getting more drivers out there on the road in a time when there's such a shortage?
Absolutely. Even I have friends that own trucks, and they're constantly asking me, do you know Papa? Do you know anybody that's looking for a job? I have this truck idle, paying insurance, and I don't have a driver. I need truck drivers.
Trucking is one of the underpinnings of the supply chain. 72% of freight in the U.S. moves by truck. Whether it's fresh fruit and vegetables, furniture, appliances, cars, or gasoline, it all moves by truck. If you think of trucking as one link in the supply chain, it's not the only link that's broken. The pandemic exposed a myriad of problems. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, the U.S. imports $1 trillion a year in goods from Asia. But COVID outbreaks closed manufacturing operations and shipping ports, leading to months-long delays in delivery time at a time when consumers' pent-up demand for goods was soaring. Government stimulus money and then the arrival of COVID vaccines raised consumer confidence, helping fuel the demand. When the goods did arrive at U.S. ports like Los Angeles, containers sat on the dock. Not enough trucks to move it all. Even with all the new hires, truckers we talked with in Texas say it won't be enough.
Man, what's driving the shortage right now? I would say the lack of wanting to work from people, because this takes work and it takes you away from family if you're not local. You feel me?
The shortage is because a lot of people don't want to work. I guess they're either getting incentives or getting money on unemployment. They're making more money on that, so they don't have to work for it,
To relieve the pressure on the pipeline, the Port of Savannah has set up so-called inland pop-up ports that get containers closer to their final destination. Ports like Los Angeles and Long Beach, California, that handle 40% of U.S. container cargo have gone to 24/7 operations, and the U.S. is earmarking $230 million for upgrades to port infrastructure. Some companies are considering longer-term solutions, reducing risk by putting factories in multiple countries and moving factories closer to distribution centers. The logjam in the shipping pipeline is even hitting ports in ways you might not think of. Captain John Murray, the director of Florida's Port Canaveral, discussed what he says will be long-term impacts of the supply chain crisis.
The lead time for getting repair parts, replacement parts for our gangways, and getting a chiller for a terminal, you'd think that would be something you could get in very short order. But there's lead times on everything now, and that's the biggest challenge I think we're going to have next year.
Right now, there's more demand for shipping than there is the container capacity to move it, according to ocean shipping executives. It's simple supply and demand, and that drives up the cost. In 2020, a container coming from China cost $1,500. A year later, $20,000, according to the Council on Foreign Relations.
With containerized cargo stacked at docks and a shortage of truckers to move it, it's hard to find a business or industry that hasn't been impacted by the supply chain crisis. And many of those are small businesses that can least afford to tell customers those dreaded words, "We're out of stock."
This comes around here through the top. Sorry. Right there. This guy's gonna come all the way over here.
At the Chain Link Bike Shop in New Braunfels, Texas, the supply chain crisis has led to a bike chain challenge.
You sit a little more upright instead of, leaning out like you would on a mountain bike or something. So it's just a more comfortable ride. It's got some gears.
Bike shop owner Sienna Rousseau says it's become a full-time job, constantly checking with distributors to see if parts and bikes have come in.
We have definitely had numerous supply chain problems across the board, not just bikes, but parts, accessories, just your regular repair things like cables, inner tubes, tires, just everything, seats for bikes, anything you can think of that is a popular seller.
Rousseau says that when the pandemic hit and gyms and pools shut down, people turned to biking for exercise. Her bike sales and repair business hit new highs, but it didn't take long before demand outpaced supply.
I still have bikes on back order from a year ago that I haven't received. Shipping costs have gone up immensely. The prices of the shipping containers, people are battling over shipping containers, just first come, first serve, who's got the most money. So it's just a bottleneck situation.
Sammy's Automotive has been in business for more than 20 years in Merritt Island, Florida, with a reputation for quality repair work.
Nice. Sweet, that worked out pretty good.
But you can't do the work if you can't get the parts. From one day to the next, owner Rich Payne doesn't know if a part he's ordered for a job will come in. Payne says hoses, valves, diesel filters, electrical components, parts that used to be readily available, aren't any longer.
Obviously, you sit there and you scratch your head and you say, well, what the heck? I don't understand why this is happening, or can you figure it out?
I've been doing this since I was 15. I've never seen a mass of garbage parts, really, if they can get them. So I think what they're doing is probably scraping the bottom of the barrel. But right now, I've never seen this in history, ever. Until the past few years, it's gotten a little worse. So.
And certainly, clearly, since the pandemic started,
Well, yeah.
That's really been the
Ever since the pandemic, our biggest issues have been motor oil.
Payne's suppliers have told him shortages of a critical oil for diesel vehicles may only get worse.
So, Rich, is this the oil you're talking about that's so difficult to get?
Absolutely. This is the Rotella 1540. Very specific. Diesel oils, heavy equipment. It's very imperative that you put this in these diesel vehicles.
For small and large businesses, for consumers, for Rich Payne, the frustration is that there's nothing they or he can do. Payne can fix broken cars, but he can't fix a broken supply chain.
It's the worst ever. It's terrifying. I've been around a minute, and I've never had to go through this. So I'll claw upwards. I mean, we'll make it happen.